truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. The first passage is from the Gospel of St. Matthew, chapter 25. Jesus tells the parable of the 10 virgins, 5 of them wise and 5 foolish. They await their bridegroom, the Christ consciousness. The wise virgins keep the oil in their lamps, symbolic of their devotion, lit through the night. The foolish virgins place no oil in their lamps. These foolish ones are like the average devotee, going through the motions of outer ritual, but keeping no fire of love burning in the heart. When the bridegroom's coming is announced, the foolish virgins realize their mistake and hasten out to purchase oil. During their absence, the Christ consciousness comes and embraces those who have been awaiting Him with devotion. The foolish ones, by their lackluster devotion, are not accepted by Him. Watch therefore, Jesus told His listeners, for you know neither the day nor the hour wherein the Son of Man cometh. In Autobiography of a Yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda describes the foolish virgin consciousness he encountered in the Mahamandal hermitage he stayed in as a young man in Benares. I was pleased, he wrote, that my new home possessed an attic where I managed to spend the dawn and morning hours. The ashram members, knowing little of meditation practices, thought I should employ my whole time in organizational duties. They gave me prize for my afternoon work in their office. Don't try to catch God so soon. This ridicule accompanied one of my early departures toward the attic. Later, during meditation, I felt lifted as though bodily to a sphere uncircumscribed. Thy Master cometh today. A divine womanly voice came from everywhere and nowhere. This supernal experience was pierced by a shout from a definite locale. A young priest nicknamed Habu was calling me from the downstairs kitchen. Mukunda, enough of meditation. You are needed for an errand. The Divine Mother's words were not spoken for the benefit of that priest, the foolish virgin, but for Mukunda, the wise virgin. For this was the day his guru, Sri Yukteswar, came to him. Grieve not, friends, if you feel that you have been foolish. No error is forever. Someday, if you keep your lamp lit now, your opportunity will come. In the Bhagavad Gita, the 6th chapter, Krishna promises every devotee, Arjuna, none who works for self-redemption will ever meet an evil destiny. Spiritual failure, though a deep disappointment, is always temporary. Eternal hellfire is but a projection of vindictiveness in the human mind. Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. It sounds like a tough story, this one about the foolish and the wise virgins. So the foolish virgins find the door closed when they come back after searching for some oil. But what is the central point? The central point of this teaching is that failures are always temporary, while the spiritual success is eternal, is forever. The last part of this scripture supports this idea when Krishna says, "Those who concentrate on me more and more, I will make their efforts permanent. The results of their efforts will become permanent." I remember once I heard by Jyotish, who is the spiritual director of Ananda in the world, that if you live your daily life concentrating all the time at the point between the eyebrows, it is as if you accumulate here great amounts of spiritual energy, and that spiritual energy will be there. You will never lose it. When you will have a spiritual victory, it may be a moment of great concentration or inner peace. These moments will change you forever. And this is the characteristic of an inner spiritual experience. It's not important if you can levitate or if you've solved the masters in a great vision. These experiences are not so important. It is important how these experiences change your life. Change is sometimes subtle, but you will see that something in you will change in a complete way. You will never go back. You cannot go backwards. So what about these 10 virgins? The foolish ones and the wise ones. Let's think you are a foolish virgin. The moment comes when everybody is ready, the wise ones are ready to have a good spiritual experience, an uplifting experience, and you tell them, "Oh, give me some of your oil," but they cannot give it to you. So you run away to buy some oil, and when you come back, the doors of this temple are closed. So it will be a delusion, a big delusion. So spiritual failure can be a big delusion. Let's look at 3 points of this story. First of all, the lamp and the oil in the lamp. What is it? And then the meaning of a virgin. And third, what can you do? When you're outside the temple and if you find the door closed, you have to do something. So we are not only a community, we are a big family called Sangha, Ananda Sangha. And we try all the time to be in touch with the larger family in Europe. So what did we do? With some efforts, we bought a nice car, a Fiat. We call it Sanghi, with a lot of affection. And those of us who travel with Sanghi to meet a group, meditation group, offering lessons, satsangs. I remember once we used this car to go to Germany, and the car works with gas and gasoline. So when both of the tanks are full, you have this feeling that your lamp is full. You will have no problems. But I didn't realize how Germany is big. It's a huge country. You have wonderful devotees there, but the country is big. So, and it's a little different from Italy. In Italy, after every 10 kilometers, you will find a gasoline station. In Germany, it's not like that. So I was completely relaxed. And then I saw that the gas was finished. And then after a while, the small tank of the gasoline, after a while, beeped. So I realized that I had no gasoline anymore, and I was trying to hope that a gasoline station was there. So I was driving, chanting Om Guru, with a lot of intensity. But that gasoline, that oil in the lamp was not there. No gasoline, no gas. At a certain point, thanks to God, the road, it was in the south of Germany where they have hills, and it was steep. So I went downhill. Very slowly on the right side of the road. So fewer gasoline. At the end, I found a gasoline station, thanks to God. So this sensation, maybe you know, I was a little foolish. My nature is also like that. I very often trust that I have enough positive karma on my spiritual bank account that I can take risks. And sometimes I did that with money as well. And even though we are completely dedicated to spiritual life, you feel always well, because you know, as if you have a good bank account, you trust that you have a lot of money on that bank account. But sometimes you can find it completely empty. So it's important that you put spiritual practices on your bank account, so as it will be always full. I started not long ago to give to tithe, so I'm giving 10% of what I earn to the source of my spiritual source, that is Ananda Sangha for me. Sometimes I have debts. Sometimes I have debts, and when I have less, there is a voice within me saying, maybe you don't have to give 10% this month, give 5%. And then the words of a very strong devotee came to my mind. His name was Haridas. He was an American. He's an American. He lives in India. So I asked him, when you have no money, maybe you don't have to give 10%, you can give less. He insisted, it's quite the opposite. You not only need to give 10%, when you're poor, you have to give 20%. So I reminded that, and I understood it's a very good practice, because it touches you at a point where your inner peace can be a little touched. I saw a video by Swami Kriyananda where he said, my philosophy is that I never allow my peace to be stolen by anything. I know that some people put a limit with money, but I even put a limit to money in any sense. So let's look at this kind of gasoline, oil, for example. So when I behave like a foolish virgin, of course, you trust that the oil will come. So you try to find an inexhaustible source of energy, because the flame of devotion cannot burn if you don't have a lot of energy. So you need a lot of energy to do anything important. First, to make the difference within you and also in the world. Realize that all successful people manifested that success with a great amount of energy. And how can we do that? How can we have more energy? An energy that never gets tired. Of course, we have energization exercises, which are the basis of the teachings of Paramahansa Yogananda. They are an incredible gift of Yogananda to the science and the art of yoga. And you can learn them, and you can test them, and you will see the difference in your energy. But there is also the teaching of karma yoga. There are different kinds of yoga. Usually we teach here 3: karma, bhakti and jnana. Jnana is the yoga of discrimination, of wisdom. Bhakti, the yoga of devotion. And karma, the yoga of action. In a sense, karma yoga is the most important, because if you cannot meditate 8 hours a day, then you have to do some karma yoga. So we meditate twice a day, sometimes 1 hour, 1 hour and a half twice a day. So the rest of the time of the day, about 21 hours, we can do any kind of mistakes. I'm joking. When we sleep, we usually don't make any damage. But when we are awake, we can make many errors. So the core teaching of karma yoga is feeling that it is not you who are acting. You are not the doer. Ahankara, the ego, is a beautiful word, ahankara. It means I act. It means also I act and I may fail. Or I meditate. I do energization exercises. I have a lot of devotion. So this principle of ahankara, the point of our spiritual path, is to bypass that ahankara principle, I do, I act, to omkara, that is, there is a power working through me that sometimes is successful, sometimes it's not. It's not important. My task is to flow with that power and to trust that that positive power is trying to do something good through me, through my actions, my emotions, feelings, words, moments of silence. Omkara. When you live like that, you will see that your energy, and not only your energy, but also your health, will improve in an incredible way. It is a process, of course. Remember, the yoga is a science, because you will experiment, you will live through these truths. Like scientists. So we experiment. Let's feel that it is God acting through us. Try to maintain your concentration more and more at the point between the eyebrows and relax in that asana, in that posture that you hold for your long day. When I used to teach in the school, At the end of every day, I could see. Every day I worked with children, it was very beautiful. When in the evening I was tired, it was acceptable. It was normal. It was normal after a long day's work. But when I was not only tired but exhausted, I knew that instead of trusting, instead of flowing through that flow of energy which I trust, I entered in the old grooves, old patterns. And in the interaction with children, it's very easy, especially with children, but also interacting with adults, with subconscious mind, where we have all these old patterns. And I think you spoke about that, especially in the lessons of this weekend. So the ego has the tendency of concentrating on itself. Instead, try to concentrate on the energy flow, divine flow through you, and you will have a wonderful experience. You will see that your spiritual enthusiasm will grow, and it will be easier to replenish your inner lamp with new oil of devotion. The second element, the virgins. And if we go back to my adventure in Germany by car, I really failed because not only was foolish to put enough gasoline in it, I was not even a good devotee. The parables of Jesus have a very deep meaning. Yogananda explains, takes up the veil of these parables and explains us what a wonderful spiritual world is there. So on the historic point of view, the idea of the virgins is this. In the Jews' ancient tradition, they were the young girls who took the bride to the altar, and in one of the psalms, David's psalms, the virgins entered the house of the bridegroom. So it's a symbol, they are a symbol. Virgin for us means purity. And if we want to understand it more deeply, because we might think, well, I'm not pure within me. So if you want to understand it more practically and more deeply, is that, so imagine that space in your soul, in your heart, that you want to conquer, you want to cultivate, where nothing of the troubles, difficulties of daily life can reach. In that space, in that pure space, you can always withdraw. So, we do need to sleep at night. At the same time, our spirit, our mind, our heart also need to find that peace when we are awake. Because in that space, inner space of quietness, we can find inspiration to face daily life. Sleep won't change us, will make us, will help us to rest. I will wake up in the morning completely replenished of energy, but my temper, it will be the same of the previous day. You will be anyway the same person. But if you work actively on yourself and you try to conquer that inner sacred space through energy, willpower, devotion, love, then that effort will change your personality. And then, when your personality changes, your destiny will come, and that will be a permanent victory. I remember there was a period in my life where when I used to read many novels, I especially liked novels from Netherlands between the First and the Second World War. These writers were intellectuals, very brave. They tried to oppose fascism and Nazism. One of them I liked a lot. He wrote a book about himself. And not even, so he was not even a virgin. He really enjoyed life and women, but I liked this writer because very deeply he really had a strong need for purity, a strong need to be really himself. He used his ability to create as a writer to find this space of inner purity within himself. And his readings really inspired me. Yogananda, in his commentary, called these virgins renunciants. Some of us here made vows, formal vows of renunciation. Swami Kriyananda creates a whole movement of a new renunciant order, and these vows help those who make them to find this inner space, sacred space within us. But we can say that every time when in our daily life we sit, we take 3-4 deep breaths, and we get rid of whatever is disturbing us, because we were trapped in some emotions. In that moment, you become a renunciant. You become one of the virgins. If you do that often, with love, with focus, with love also for yourself and for others, so the more you can do that as a method, a regular practice, the more you will receive and you will be able to share with others. I remember an old devotee of Ananda was practicing all these teachings. But he really didn't like the teachings. So he said, I'm practicing because others can benefit from my practice, not only for myself. I practice also for others, for my dear ones, my children, my friends, my community. The third point is the failure. It's so bad, and we don't like to fail. All of a sudden, everybody looks at you badly. It happens in life. Maybe you fail in your work, in your family. I remember I gave an exam, violin exam, once, and I didn't pass it. And not only I was disturbed by that, my friends was really pitying me, and I didn't like that at all. So failing is not a nice experience. So what do you do when it happens? When you find the temple closed? So everybody's in. Maybe you come around the temple through the windows, you see them deeply in meditation with a beautiful heavenly smile, and you're there. Maybe you knock at the door, but they push you away because you failed. What do you do in that moment? Well, Jesus was really straightforward. Yogananda was more soft in that, because in the story of the virgins, the bridegroom that comes, who comes, welcomed the 5 wise virgins, and he welcomed them in his house. And when the 5 wise ones come, the foolish one come, those who couldn't find any oil. Because remember, the only thing God cannot give us is the love for Him. It is something that you have to find within yourself. It wouldn't be true, authentic, if someone else gives you love for God. So, these foolish virgins couldn't find the oil, not because the others were stingy and didn't want to give them any oil, but because it is something you have to find yourself. So you come, no oil, temple closed. But if you look outside, there is a nice nativity outside the temple. On the grass, there is a beautiful wood. You can take a nice walk. And especially, remember, everything starts with acceptance. Calm acceptance and joy. If you resist, if you don't accept that something went wrong, then you cannot change. But if you start accepting, that will be a big step forward. I remember that Swami Kriyananda was here once, and he was, in that period of his life, he was really bad. There was also a woman who was ill for a long time. She was a little better in those days, and they met at the retreat. So Swami had his first walk outwards after being ill, and for that woman it was the same. This woman complained a lot with Swami, saying, "Oh, I feel so useless when I'm in bed, while others work and do things, perform tasks." And Swami said, "Well, let's tell the truth. We are useless. So start with accepting, with acceptance. The second time, don't compare yourself to anybody. Never. Because as soon as you compare yourself to others, in that sense you become a negative renunciant. You regret your ability to improve. Why do you want to? Why do you desire the power of another one? You will never have it. So renounce the tendency of comparing yourself to others. Then relax. In this acceptance, relax with the thought that failure is just temporary, and in the world of spirit, success is forever. Relaxing mentally, what does that mean? There are different kinds of relaxation. One is physical and emotional. You tense, you inhale twice and then you exhale twice and you relax physically, but also emotionally, because you let go while exhaling all the tensions. But mentally relaxation is even more deep. Yogananda describes it as the ability of letting go all past thoughts and all thoughts of the future. There are, of course, thoughts for the future, but it doesn't mean that these thoughts have to define ourselves. It is just like having a very enthusiastic dog. The dog is very happy to see you. Maybe you went there to speak to the owner of the dog, What is the best way to calm that dog is not to look at him. So unplug a little in yourself. Don't look at your delusions, failures, and judgments about yourself. Don't worry about the future and meditate on these words of Sri Yukteswar, which are: forget the past, the shames of many lives. Future will get better if you make the right spiritual effort now. Thank you. Now we make our offering. Duty will chant a song by Swami Kriyananda about this topic that says, for many lives I laughed and cried and I was so far. I wandered so far from you, but now that I know you, no longer I will be far from you, Lord.
Through many lives I've drunk the cup of laughter. No man could tell the pleasures I have known. The stars in the endless sky, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Through many lives I've drunk the cup of sorrow. No man could tell the bitter tears I've shed. The drops in the endless sea, if one could count, would come to billions. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Yet as vast as are their numbers, so many years I've wandered far from you. Through countless lives I've sought your cup of sweetness, found other cups, yet thirsted evermore. The streams in the hills of time all found their way into your desert. Every noon of bright fulfillment, ere many hours did sink to evening gloom. Every noon of bright fulfillment, ere many hours did sink to evening gloom. I long for you in summer and in winter, only for you my heart thirsts day and night. I've learned that the sweetest songs ears ever heard were but your echo. Lord, at last fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you. Lord, at last fill me completely, for nevermore I'd wander far from you.